the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
Hi, this is Isabel, and this is Business Story of the Week.
And that is Isabel, our guest for today. She is looking lovely, of course. And of course, we are going to have another show for you. I am your host, Joshua, of course. And today's question is, why do we shy away from talking about things that truly matter? A very deep question today. And Isabel, our guest, is the perfect guest to answer that question. She will be helping us navigate that and more. Of course, Isabel Melgarejo is a project manager and taboo smasher. I love that term, by the way. Who is a big promoter of balance, of having a balanced life. That's a taboo. We need a balanced life, by the way. She's a big promoter of having a balanced life. Isabel was raised to avoid uncomfortable topics and always put herself last. But everything changed after her dad passed away. She had to talk about death, her mom's future, and ask for help. Very, very, very difficult things. When Isabel moved to Texas, she turned her toughest life season into a mission to support family caregivers. With her background in engineering and project management, she crafted a program to guide caregivers through these challenging journeys. Isabel is all about bringing families together and finding balance, even in tough times. When she's not planning senior care strategies, Isabel is globe-trotting and taste testing new adventures. She believes life's too short not to savor every moment. Let's navigate this caregiving adventure together. Isabel, I love that introduction. I love the titles that you have for yourself. I mean, thank you for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me over.
Well, Isabel, it's quite the story, of course, and there's a lot to unravel over there on that intro and your story, your journey so far. Isabel, before we really get started, I'd love to start off with this question. Did the young Isabel Melgarejo, the young Isabel, did she always think, or did she always know she was going to get into family caregiving? Was that always in her heart? Was it always in her mission? What was the young Isabel like?
A very, very young Isabel, a 5-year-old Isabel, used to love going to nursing homes
Oh,
and spend time with
really?
elder people.
Oh, wow.
I always loved going, and I always loved listening to their stories,
Mhm.
and I think it was like a really good combination because I was a very active child. I was one of
Mhm.
those childs that couldn't be sitting down for more than 5 minutes. So I think I was going to these places with 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds. And I was jumping all over, and then they would sit me down and would tell me like these great stories about themselves, about what they
Mhm.
had done in life. And
Mhm.
I would always enjoy that so much. Um, 20-year-old Isabel probably had no idea
At all.
I would finish at all, that I would do caregiving and I would help caregivers navigate their journeys. I was all about engineering, I was about changing the world, like how we perceive the processes, how to make them better so they don't affect the environment so much,
Wow.
how to build those strategies so we could keep living comfortably without compromising our environment. So that was 20-year-old Isabel.
Mhm.
And right now it's after I've gone through all of these stories, and like rediscovering my past is like, hey, we need to start paying attention about caregivers.
Mhm. Wow. Isabel, first of all, you may not have known it maybe in your 20s, but it feels like you've always had a heart for it. What was it that led you, the very young Isabel, what was it that led you that down that path? Why were you always visiting nursing homes? Why were you talking to seniors?
Um, Part of it was my family.
Hmm.
So my parents would give donations to a nursing home.
Hmm.
So twice a year we would go, and for example, for Christmas, my parents would donate sweaters and jackets and blankets and
Wow.
yada yada yada, whatever they
Wow.
needed. I think it was something that got down from my dad, because that was like something that he was always very fun. He would always be caring for seniors. So that is one part. Like it was just, I don't know, probably I inherited that.
Really? So it was part of a family tradition, so to speak, and it just it was something that I feel like the very young Isabel found enjoyable. Like getting to meet new people, getting to talk to more people, and of course, I feel like it's always I subscribe to the fact that it's wonderful to talk to seniors, like knowing their different perspectives in lives, their wisdom, their insight. It's always something wonderful, I feel, and regardless of what age, I feel it's just enjoyable. But Isabel, you've gone through quite a journey and a remarkable journey, and it's a tough journey, of course, not an easy journey, but also a relatable journey for a lot of people and our audience and listeners today as well. Isabel, you were raised to avoid uncomfortable topics. It was said that in your intro, and I feel like this is very common thread to throughout all our lives. We're not really told to have like to face the really hard conversations. Of course, you met a pivotal moment that changed all of this. Could you walk us through a little bit about that journey on how difficult was to have those conversations before, how you avoided them, and how differently does it feel now after the many pivotal moments in your life?
So growing up, part of my education is like you never talk about your problems.
Uh,
And
of course.
that was not even something that was taught by example. It was something that was explicitly told to me
Yeah.
several times in my life. For example, my mom had cancer, and I was not allowed to talk to anybody about her disease. So
Oh.
it was a problem that we just navigated as a family.
Oh
Very
my
few people
goodness.
knew that she had cancer, and that component in which you go and you tell a friend or you tell a loved one, like, hey, I'm going through these problems and I'm feeling confused and sad,
Mhm.
and I'm afraid that she might die. Like all of those feelings, it was like you're not allowed to talk because your mom is still working, and if someone hears at work that she's got cancer, then she might lose her job. So those kinds of
Goodness.
things, I was raised that way.
Mhm.
And by the time my dad died, it was just like how I was. I don't talk about
Mhm.
these topics. I don't talk about my problems. I just
Mhm.
never speak for anything. And my dad passes.
Mhm.
And my siblings, who are way older than me,
Mhm.
kind of disappeared from the picture. Like I don't even think they were aware of everything that was happening.
Goodness.
So I was in a position in which I needed to pay for college. My dad was
Mhm.
paying for that.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I still have year and a half and I have to figure out how I'm going to pay this.
Oh my goodness.
I need to figure out. My mom was super depressed. She wouldn't go to the store. I was still living with my parents. And after 2 weeks, it was like, well, we need food and there's nothing in the fridge. Are you going to the store, or do I have to take that on myself, or what's gonna
Oh
happen?
no. Oh,
Um, and then I'm Mexicans, and Mexicans have a lot of names. My mom has 4 names plus 2 last names.
no.
And when going through all the legal process, it turned out that that my mom, there was not a single document that would match her name
Oh
with another
no,
document.
no. Oh come on. Oh come on.
And it
Like,
was like, so now what?
now what?
Um,
Was
so
it?
I had to learn.
Yes, of course. I mean, with their very difficult journey, of course, it must have feel like at parts that you were abandoned, or at parts like you had to fend for yourself. You had to grow up a lot quicker than you thought you would, and it's never easy. Of course, of course, I relate to this, Isabel. My mother passed from cancer, and it's
I'm
never easy
sorry.
to lose a loved one. But some of these things we carry along with us, and like you said, you turned your toughest season into a winning season, so to speak. You turned it into a triumph for you. Isabel, how different was it now, like you said, now that you've turned to your journey of helping family caregivers navigate their own journey as well? How was it changed, or what was the pivotal moment where you said, like, okay, you went from engineering, project management, and all that, and trying to figure out everything, but then you went into family caregiving. Why the shift? What happened between there? What was the pivotal moment, and how does it feel now?
So eventually my mom stopped needing help full time.
Okay.
And 5 years ago, I moved to Texas. And when I moved here, I started noticing a consistent pattern through time. My mom would call me and she would ask me to help her out with different things.
Okay.
Many of them, I was like, one time she called me and she was like, I can't connect the Netflix. Can you help me out? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm
Hmm.
not in front of your TV.
Hmm.
And I started noticing that she would need my help in several things. And I just
Okay.
started like my project management brain and like what's going to happen. Eventually she will continue to grow older and she will need more help, more and more help down the road.
Yes, of course, of
So
course.
if I don't do something now, if I don't start planning that care for my mom, when she's 78 right now. So if I don't start
Oh,
planning her care, if I don't start doing something about it, it's going to be very difficult when that time comes.
very.
So I just started talking with my siblings like you need to step up.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not there if she needs help with her computer or to file documents or whatever. You have to be the one there for her because
Okay.
you live close to her.
Okay. How has that worked out so far? What is the situation right now? You getting all the help that you need?
For the most part, yes.
Hmm.
Um,
At least it's
uh,
all hands
for-
on deck.
yeah, like it
Okay.
it depends. There are times, a few months ago in May, she had surgery, and she specifically asked for me to go on to be with her. So it was like, okay, but it was like, okay, you're asking me. This is something planned. We can figure things out.
Okay.
But for the most part, I already have my siblings like all lined, and you have to step up if something happens.
Okay. Okay. Um, so there must be a lot of plans in place. In case of emergencies, and of course in the presence of your siblings and their responsibilities, I imagine that you must have separated responsibilities somehow, and somehow this all relates back to your experience in project management. What has it been like to project manage your own siblings, your own family? But more importantly, I think more deeper, how has your background in engineering and project manage influenced your approach to caregiving?
For the most part, other people that I've met that do similar things to what I do, they come from like a psychotherapy kind of background.
Oh,
So they're
okay, okay,
they're like there are a lot of support and emotional support for the person. How I approach things is, if you want to, like, sort of a balance, you can have a lot of like mental strength, but if you're still drinking out of the hose, like, and a lot is coming your way, if you don't
Mhm.
manage that flow, you will drown. So
Wow.
I address how to manage the flow, and then I work with other specialists to
Okay.
work with those. And I've worked a lot with my mental health and how to balance life
Very
and
important.
yada yada yada. So
Mhm.
the basics I can cover, and if they need additional help, then I refer them to a specialist.
All right, all right. So, I hear a few things in there. First off, um, I love the flow. I love the analogy to like a water flowing. If you don't take care of it, you're going to drown. But also, it sounds like support systems, right? You have to have clear support systems in place. It cannot just be you clearly, but it also cannot just be you and your siblings. There's help around. One of my favorite quotes is, "Look for the helpers. There are always helpers, people willing to help." But in the world of caregiving, it truly is revolving in a space of help, in a space of wanting to, help others, and of course your own family, right? If caregiving was swimming, so to speak, let's compare it to swimming. If caregiving was swimming, and you want to avoid drowning, what are the things that you have to look out for most specifically so you don't drown? And how can you best navigate the waters when it comes to caregiving?
First of all, you need to learn how to swim.
Mhm, mhm. I
So
don't know
how
how to
to
swim.
navigate? That's okay. A
But
lot of people
okay.
don't.
All right. Okay. Okay. That's just a little secret. But yes, how do you swim in that kind of field?
You have to learn how to have difficult conversations. That's
That's it.
for starters.
Mhm,
You need to know what you want for yourself. You have to start with an end in mind. And
mhm,
probably you've heard this from a lot of businesses and
mhm,
how a lot of businesses started. They had a vision. So when you have a vision, and same happens with project management. If you want to build a bridge, you or a pool for that matter,
okay.
you know that you know how that is going to look like. And right now that it
Okay.
is Olympic season, like they had a vision in mind. They have like
Mhm,
all this list of sports. So you start with that vision, like what do you want for yourself? What do your loved one wants? You have
mhm,
to pay attention to that and consider that into the equation. Who is going to be part of your team? There is a support team that you can have from siblings,
mhm,
parents,
mhm,
nieces, nephews, uncles, like all of your family. You can also pay for help, or you
mhm,
can find resources within your city. So
mhm.
there is a lot that you can cover to get the help that you need, but you have to ask for it.
Right.
If you go into an ice cream shop, they are not going to serve you the ice cream that you want unless you tell them which ice cream you want.
Precisely.
So you have
It's
to ask for it.
You have to ask for it, and it's always difficult because we're not told to ask for help. We're not really raised to ask for help. More deeply, like you said, we're not really taught to have difficult conversations. And I love that you mentioned that again, because I want to get a clearer picture from you on why difficult conversations are always related to caregiving. Of course, on surface level, right at the back of my head, I'm thinking it's it's difficult to talk to seniors. This is just a difficult conversation as well. But what are the deeper instances of why difficult conversations is very important, not just in managing family caregiving, by the way, but running a business in general, being an entrepreneur in general? Why do you think difficult conversations is always present?
I don't think that we were taught in school how to manage conflict.
Yes.
So you can see that everywhere. Like
Mhm.
people don't talk about politics.
Yes.
People don't talk about religion. I
Yes.
think if we would have been taught from school from a very young age to have to to be able to understand other points of views, to understand what other people think about it, it would have been easier.
Much
So
easier.
there are a lot of things that we were taught not to talk about. And when we're talking about seniors in particular, we are taught not to talk about death. And some cultures are more open to that than others, obviously. But still, like, growing older. Some cultures, like, I just see it with my friends, trying to avoid aging so much. And imagine, like, if you would double our age, in which we're 80, and trying to avoid the age, like, you can't avoid age at that time. And then just facing the reality of being 80 is like you're losing your physical capabilities, you're losing your strength.
Of course.
So the scenario is not that good, and then society puts like a huge burden into, like,
Of
you're
course.
old
Mhm.
and you're sort of not valuable. And
That's it.
other, like the Inuits, for example, a lot of
Mhm.
Native Americans, they're really good with that. They
Mhm.
really appreciate and honor their seniors. And
Wow.
they call them elders and the
Yes.
elder of the tribe. And they are someone to look like, they admire and they want to talk to these people. But in general, society don't see that. So
Yep.
there are like so many taboos in terms of society that it makes the conversations harder because we don't want to be there.
Absolutely. We don't want to have this. I don't think anyone wants to have a difficult conversation. That's why we always avoid it, but we have to. I think I love that you relate this to value, to our aging, to our value as we age, because I feel like, of course, everyone is valuable. That is also a given. But I think whenever, as we grow older, it's more difficult to have conversations, especially when we have this idea that these conversations need not be had because especially as you grow older, you're not really, you're not valuable anymore. I love that you keep relating it back to that. Of course, Isabel, tell me if I am saying this right. The website is tumcoeur, TUMCOEUR.com. Am I saying that right?
It's cool in French, so hard. And
Okay.
it means the rhythm of the heart.
Oh, very, very interesting. Well, that is, of course, the website. But talk to us a little bit about that and why was the name that you chose? And again, you're getting into family caregiving. What are the common difficult conversations that you are having when it comes to now running your own family caregiving uh, operations?
I think there was several questions in one.
Right. So, um, I kind of asked two questions there. First off, your website, we were asking this, what you do basically. You are helping families navigate caregiving in their own, as a manager, of course. And let's just start with this, or maybe we could, if we start wrapping it up, because difficult conversations is our theme here. And what would be the most common difficult conversations that you have encountered that families have and families keep avoiding now that you are helping others navigate caregiving?
Probably the most common one is how to say no.
Oh, goodness.
Uh,
I feel like that's a
I
conversation. I feel like that's a challenge for everyone, regardless if it's caregiving. We have a hard time saying no. Talk to us about that personal journey of yours, learning how to say no, and then teaching families in caregiving to say no.
It is tough because when you say no and when you start building boundaries,
Mhm.
people usually get mad at you. So um, you have to come with that in mind. And usually, what I work with my clients is several ways in which you can approach that conversation, because
Right.
if it's something important, if you're not doing something that
Hmm.
it's important for the other person, even if it's not, but if the other person consider that's important
Hmm.
and you're removing that part that they consider it's important, then mm, I think a lot of the conflict comes from like, I'm not doing this and that's
Right.
it. It's your problem.
Right.
And yes, it is your problem, n- but I can help you fix that problem in a
Hmm.
way that it doesn't affect me. So I can brainstorm. We can figure out if someone else can do that for you. If you
Interesting.
really need to do that, like if it's something that you really, really need, or it's something, not everything is priority number one.
Right.
So,
Of course. And I feel
um,
like it connects back to asking for help. If you can't say no, you can't ask for help, right? Like it's going to be difficult.
exactly.
So you said this is a common thing that families face. Um, how have you balanced that? How have you taught them to say no?
Little by little, and it's like moving a muscle. Like you
Wow.
need to start doing it with little things that
Mhm.
probably, and so you start gaining confidence.
Yes. Yes.
There's people that are more bold that, okay, I'm just doing this and I don't care, and that's good.
Hmm.
So it's basically what feels good for the person. And it can
And
be a little by little, or you can make a very bold move and
yeah, and
just
catching
see what
yourself too. Like, oh wow, I think it's just I need to say no. I feel like saying no, but I think it's also catching those moments as well. Like sometimes it's just so automatic. Even we feel like saying no, we can't say no. So I feel like catching ourselves is also very important. Isabel, talk to us about the website, of course. Tell me again how to pronounce it correctly so we can tell our audience and listeners to visit the website. And again, talk to me about the inspiration behind it.
um so the website is the website. It has the services. You can find a guide on how to have difficult conversations.
Hmm.
That guide has been curated by, like, throughout the years, classes that I've taken on how to build policy. So I'm
Hmm.
putting like a lot of like top-notch things into like how to do it in our families.
I see. I see. Wow. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. And of course, that
And
the insight is very, I don't know, is um very valuable because it's insight from someone who's actually, gone through that same experience. How do you pronounce it? Tell me. Tell the audience and listeners.
so it's Tum Cool.
Too
Um,
cool. Okay. Too cool. All right. Okay. Okay. And again, it's about what does that mean again?
Tum is like a drum, like how a
Okay.
drum sounds like. That, I don't
Yes.
know. That's how I would say it if
Hmm.
I were playing a drum, which I
Hmm.
never did. But
It's like the beat of the heart, right? Like the drum
yes,
of the heart. All right, fantastic. I love it. I love it because again, in here on your website, you offer your own perspectives, your own guidance on how to navigate family caregiving, and of course, you have a lot of services in there, and all of this is from your own experiences and. Uh, Isabel, how has it been so far? It must have been, it must feel fulfilling with a lot of families that you've helped. And if we want to find out more, where can we find you?
you can find me on my website. I'm
Hmm.
also on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
My social media handles in Instagram and Facebook. I'm not as active there.
Okay.
The most active is on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I keep posting there about my podcast and the things that I'm doing. Um, if you join my newsletter, there's a newsletter coming every month
Wow.
and
I love that.
articles every month. So there's just content there for everybody.
Wow. How has this journey been so far, Isabel? And if there's one thing you'd love to leave behind to the audience, what would it be?
Be yourself.
Wow. Wow. Be yourself. Be yourself, especially throughout the difficult conversations.
That's right.
Isabel, it's been lovely. I love it. I love your mission. I love what you do. I love what you talk about. I hope this conversation wasn't difficult at all. I tried my best to not make it to make it flow. I mean, but
This
Isabel,
was
you
all.
were thank you. You were very very lovely. You were awesome as well. The story is remarkable. What you do is remarkable, and of course, I relate. Of course, it resonates with me as well with some caregiving that we also have to look for in our own families, and you know it's something relatable because there is always someone to take care of in every family. Isabel, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
To all our audience and listeners out there, if you are looking for help to take care of your family, any way to navigate caregiving, you know where to find Isabel. Go send this to your friends as well. Check out her website and get connected. Thank you for watching the episode once again. Thank you for coming on to the show, Isabel.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. See you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.